Hello, Soul Family, and it's Marie Louise. And here we cover all things soul related with a little splash of the ego added in for spice. So, spirituality for me doesn't always have to be around love and light and being boring. It's very much about enjoying the journey and trusting the destination with some fun along the way. I want to talk today about part of my spiritual journey, and it's probably the most exciting part, which is around my grid work. So, if you've ever felt a sudden zap of energy through your body, or you've been strangely pulled to a place that you can't explain, then it could be why. So, firstly, we're going to cover what is grid work. And the earth, very much like the body, which has meridians all the way running through it, the earth has certain lines of energy that run through it. These are called ley lines or grids. And these lines meet at powerful points like pyramids or stone circles, maybe mountains, temples. And they're just generally places when you can just really feel the energy of the earth. Grid work is where we tune into these lines and we support them. Sometimes it can be clearing heavy energy and that the land has been holding for multiple lifetimes, maybe by wars or something in terms of disturbance. And sometimes it's just about anchoring light into the grids so that humanity can shift and expand as the collective consciousness needs to be doing at this point in time. So why would it matter? The land remembers and it holds stories of ancient wisdom, but also trauma, whether that's through war, suffering, and any levels of displacement. So when we work with the grids, we're helping to release those imprints and bring balance back into the earth and back into humanity. So grid work isn't just about the earth, it's about all of us, our collective healing and our awakening of the planet. So how do you know if you're called? You might be drawn to certain places for no reason. You might sense heaviness or lightness in the land. Sometimes you might dream about working on the earth or feel a sudden urge to send love to a place that you've maybe seen on the news where there's something bad happening at the moment. And that's generally the pull of your soul that's saying that you're a grid worker. So, if we talk through what it might feel like to be a grid worker, and sometimes it can be quite surprising when it happens for the first few times, and usually your body will know. So, it can feel like zaps of light coming through that can be tingling or buzzing, or just general waves of energy that run through you, whether that's coming up through the earth or coming through the top of your head through your crown chakra. Sometimes your heart might race, or you might get goosebumps, or feel pressure in the head or the third eye. And sometimes you might just suddenly yawn, cry, or laugh. And afterwards, you can either be extremely exhausted, or you can feel like you've been plugged into a power plug. So I want to talk through a couple of my experiences just to give you some context, and you might be able to relate. One of my experiences was in Egypt, and to give you an example of how that showed up for me, this was probably one of my most unaware activations. I was in a submarine deep under the sea going on a tourist trip, and then just out of nowhere I was completely zapped with light and I was extremely dizzy. I didn't quite understand it all at the time, but I guess later it did make sense that Egypt sits on one of the most powerful grid points on the planet, and the waters there do hold ancient wisdom and deep ancestral traumas. So, because that water was such a conductor, being under the sea just completely amplified everything for me. I guess it felt like an initiation, a little bit of a reminder that grid work will find you, even in the most unexpected places, too. It's not really something that you can switch on or off. So another experience, which was in a very different setting. So this was work related. I was working for a company who did internet connectivity across caravan parks, and it was in one of the most densely populated caravan park areas in North Wales. So one day I was driving to North Wales, happened to be the busiest weekend of the year. I'd planned to do a sales event at one of the largest caravan parks there. And on the way, I must have been about 20 kilometers off. I felt a huge surge of energy just move through my body. Very much like when you have some music on and you feel that tingles come through, and it was just becoming more and more elevated. And then literally a few minutes later, I got a call, and the entire internet network in the whole area had gone down. So when I checked in with High South, I was shown that it was very much divinely guided, and the work that needed to take place needed to move out any interference from broadcasting equipment, just so that there was a pure connection for a lot of the individuals that were at those parks and the trauma that they held ancestrally. And there was just the ability to be able to have pure light to be able to come through in that work. Wasn't great for the techie guys that were working behind the scenes at the company as was, but having that level of awareness was absolutely beautiful and such a blessing. And that moment again reminded me that grid work doesn't just happen at ancient temples. It can happen in the middle of everyday life, wherever that earth may need balance at that point in time. And us light workers are anchors, and through the experiences like these, I realised that something so much deeper, and light workers really aren't placed randomly. We're all positioned like the acupuncture points on the earth to anchor light when it's most needed. Some of us might be drawn to sacred sites. Some of us hold space in busy areas where there's higher levels of collective energy. And others are placed quietly in areas just that hold high levels of ancestral trauma. Wherever we're called, it's all part of the bigger design. So if you've ever felt these surges of energy, or if strange things happen around you, it's often a sign that you're anchoring light into the grids for the collective. So in this, one little piece of advice would be to make sure that you ground. If you are being called to this, just try to start simply and make sure that you're grounding yourself properly in the earth, and take a really good few breaths, set a clear intention to clear the highest light for the benefit of all. And ask your high self and guides, if you do use them, to show you what is needed at that point. It could be sending love into the earth, it could be visualizing golden light through the grids, or just sitting quietly in nature with an open heart. But always make sure that you ground afterwards. Super important. Drink plenty of water and nourish your body with some really nutritious food. You can always put your hand on your heart, on your belly as well, and just breathe slowly, imagining the roots coming through your feet from the earth, and just really anchor that light into your being. So thank the earth and your body and for the light for working together. That is the way that your system will be able to integrate the anchoring or activations fully. So grid work, it's a co-creation with the earth. It's gentle, powerful, and it's extremely humbling. And sometimes it will literally zap you with light. If you've ever felt pulled to certain places or experienced these surges yourself, please do share it in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories too. And if this resonates, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video so that more light workers can remember the role that they are here to play. Thank you for being here, and thank you for holding the light of our planet. Sending you so much love. Bye for now.